Hi, I'm Shuchi. Thank you so much for introducing me. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn more about Polkadot. I'm very thrilled to, because Polkadot came to this market, and it is reaching out to more developers and builders like some of you here today. So a little bit of introduction about JUR first. We are an up-and-coming parachain product on Polkadot, and we are solving for scalability of DAOs and Web3 communities and protocols. So in general, we can call them Web3 communities, but every time I say that, it includes DAOs, it includes protocols, it includes parachains as well. So here, I'll introduce a new stack. It's called DAO 2.0 stack. And when we say scalability, it means how do we make this technology really reach to millions of people, regardless if they're aware about the technology that is happening behind the scenes or not. So moving forward. It's kind of the need of the hour right now in the entire Web3 space, regardless of the blockchain, that everybody is expecting rapid experimentation in governance models. And it's very well deserved because DAOs have existed in the space for a while. They have shown that they've shown good traction in terms of just proving that people want to come together and align on these new world values. And at the same time, we have also discovered new problems that are happening in the space with governance. And currently, they're not very scalable to accommodate like millions. Maybe like some thousands, a few thousands is more appropriate. And which is why the parachain is an infrastructure layer that is supposed to accommodate rapid experimentation of governance models and algorithms. So yeah, let's take like a high-level helicopter shot. It's the most common pitch way to talk about the position and where we think we are building. So with internet, we saw instant messengers, enabling people to interact more online. And with content evolution, we further saw more products that basically created the creator's economy. And right now, we are at a point where products like Mastodon are becoming more popular and adopted. And there's a trend that is being followed. Like every few years, internet gives us something, a new way of basically, for like-minded people to come together and coordinate themselves in order to allow like more action. Same stuff has also been happening in coordination space. And we are more globally connected than ever before. There are very high chances of you finding a like-minded person across the globe than a person who maybe you grew up with. So, and it is becoming more and more common, and events like this are an example of how, in the moment, we all just come together on a specific purpose because we have shared values. So same stuff is happening even right now. There are platform businesses that have like a major network effect. These are not decentralized right now, but they are also empowering a new economy, a gig economy. And then there are DAOs who are coordinating people and bringing them together to do a collective action together. As of today, excuse me, as of today, if you are a community, it is much more easier to do collective action on Web3 than it is to do on Web2. And because it's a more global space, you're much more likely to find even the grants for it. And it's a very good space to build right now. So with JUR 2.0 stack, we hope to further this agenda and enable like rapid experimentation in governance models. So you can imagine like plug-and-play governance, different algorithms, and while also supporting these communities with a more mature infrastructure that could possibly be used by startups or corporations, or maybe even if you're like an Instagram influencer with like 1 million following, it helps you to form this community and take collective actions with them together. Yeah. So this is basically the evolution that we've seen. There's so much innovation happening in this space on the parallel side, so it's kind of hard to put it down in one slide, but we've tried to do it here. There were no Gov blockchains. Then it moved forward with digitally native global communities. There are DAOs and protocols, and every day there is something new happening in the DAO spaces. And then there are also Startup Society, DAO 2.0. Let's not get confused with the labels, because these definitions are very fluid. For example, a Startup Society is a founder-led Web3 community with highly aligned values, and we hope that these societies could eventually one day scale into a network state. For those of you who are not aware of network states, it's a very interesting topic. You should definitely read it up. But in a very simple, very extremely simplified definition, it's a highly aligned community with at least 1 million population. And we hope to see more of these coming. Yeah. So why DeGov? Why this experimentation? And why are we doing it now? So first of all, governance is at the heart of any community. Jaskirat was here earlier. He was talking about governance, and he was mentioning the kind of something along the similar lines. So regardless of whether you're governing a state or a company or a startup or a social community, governance is the aspect, and the needs are very different. For example, we shared Instagram influencer. On the other hand, you could also build an Airbnb on a blockchain, but we currently do not have the infrastructure for it. So that is what also we are building for. How do you enable this network of people whose livelihoods depend on the network, and still ensure that they're gaining out of the system, and there's a very positive network effect that is being generated. You can only manage it through a very effective governance design. Then Polkadot is, of course, the exact tech breakthrough which was required to build something like this. And it is so because the layer 0 of Polkadot is shared by all parachains. So which means that Polkadot takes care of the scalability, security, which gives a lot more freedom and flexibility to parachains so that they can focus on their application-specific use cases and solve for real adoption, real-world use cases and stuff. And apart from this, with Substrate, you get a lot more flexibility in terms of development. So it's much more sophisticated compared to a lot of techs out there. And it is possible to actually solve for these problems. Now, moving forward, what exactly is in this JUR DAO 2.0 stack? I hope that you can read the slide. The font is good enough. So you can think of them as features. For those of you who are building on Polkadot, these are also our palettes. And the first one is around structuring, so it's nesting. So you can imagine like hierarchical DAO structures, DAO within DAOs, and then within DAOs. Also could be like departments or something. Then there is governance support. Here, it's a plug-and-play model. The governance needs can be dynamic. If you're a small community, if you're a startup who's just starting out, maybe you're on a path of progressive decentralization. So as a core team, you may want to have more influence over the decision-making. So those cases also needs to be accommodated somehow. But you are also moving towards decentralization. So how do you empower governance in these? You give out more algorithms and models that they can play around with and reach a decentralized state. There is insurance involved here. So this is, I wouldn't go too much deeper into these aspects, but the infrastructure here is mature comparatively because it facilitates for better insurance, better legal structure, not exactly jurisdiction compatible legal, but code is law, and there is so much that we can handle on chain before we reach to the jurisdictions. So we hope, we imagine a network of, arbitrators, legal professionals also who would be helping with, building this and having a dispute resolution layer along with this model to support more companies or businesses who want to switch over and adopt Web3. Then currently, JUR is designed for 3 kinds of users. First is, of course, the parachains, because even the parachains have their own custom needs for governance, apart from the runtime upgrades, and they kind of need to be handled and met. Then it is also for the dApps, startup societies that we were talking about right now, those few examples. And the developers, because eventually these will be the developers who will build more applications for these communities to come and use them. So yeah, just last month, we did an initiative where we asked a lot of Web3 communities to come and pitch their ideas about network states, because it's a very massive ongoing movement, and a lot of people are connecting with it. And that is also the infrastructure that we're building for. And we received about 50+ applications. And it has been a very good conversation starter for this new space. And if you find this interesting, then feel free to join anytime. Thank you so much.